Hello everybody, April 25th. Hope everybody's doing well. A couple old messages again. First one from my daughter's spirit, which teaches me some stuff and might make you all aware of some stuff as well. Again, believe it as you will. This is number 238 from June 22nd, 2011. Some of the stuff has occurred already. Despondency among the masses, failing to see all that passes. Glory speaks in flows of mist, too many things for us to list. Here is told all you must do. Hidden meanings lie deep within you. Dispense with all your trivial thoughts. All were gone when they cast their lots. Images pass by like flowing water. Lead me home to my long-lost daughter. It's my spirit speaking. Heaven's blessing upon her head never lay amongst the dead. I mean, she never lived in this world and did not have to go through the pains of death. Heaven-born, pure of heart, guides me in doing my part. And then she replies, Papa, I am always here. Think of me, and I draw near. Love for you in purest gold. Many here from days of old. We wait your final return, knowing how much your heart does yearn. Penelope sends her undying love, shines down upon you from up above. Feel its grace upon thine face, strengthens you in all you do. Worry not what lies ahead. Thomas prepares you for where you're led. Pass through fire of soulful light, guiding you through darkest night. End draws near, fast approaching. Even now the dark is encroaching. They will not defeat nor deter you, even though they constantly pull you. You are empowered, protected always, from time you left to end of your days, on earth amongst the lost and condemned, who fail to hear the words you penned. Sacred words, seeds of faith, some saved, some fall to the wraith. Soulless creatures who prowl the land, fail to take the helping hand. They are not for your concern. Fires of hell, there they'll burn. Many wait to hear your words. Time yet still before sacred thirds are complete, signaling the end, and all the world he shall amend. I am with you, have no fear, have no doubt, shed no tear. Focus on the road ahead, see the words inside your head. Write all down as spoken to you, and much more shall come into view. Peace be with you, Father of mine. Soon all glory shall be thine. Angelica Marie. So it's partly from her. I learned some things too about myself and about spiritual stuff. Now, number 239, I won't go through and explain that. It was pretty easy to follow. But again, as always, you can look these up. Early blog postings to read them at your leisure. Number 239, also from that day, 6/22/11. Distortions in the midst of gathering gloom, whispering of mankind's impending doom. Haunting, mesmerizing, burns to the core, devilish spirits of ancient lore. Gnashing, writhing, seeking the soul, wanting to claim those not whole. Corpses of walking, dripping flesh, body and spirit no longer mesh. Light comes on gathering clouds, destroying all that seeks to enshroud. Darkness flees where light dwells, receding as fast as the brightness swells. Angels of mercy gather the lost, vanity their loss at so high a cost. Be still, be silent, hear their wings beat, trampling the fallen beneath their feet. King of all glory approaches their repose, ending the attempt by them to depose. Foolish ones who thought to dethrone he who rules over not just flesh and bone. All the heavens and all the earth are his to command, fill their hearts with mirth. Darkest of darkness bows down at his feet, receiving upon them all that he shall meet, M-E-T-E. Judge of judges, King of kings, from the Father his coming brings. Light and peace, joy beyond knowing, love immeasurably overflowing. Open your heart, he calls to all, hear my voice, answer my call. I am here to cleanse the world, and claim all mine thus pearled. I'll go over this one. Distortions in the midst of gathering gloom. Whispering of mankind's impending doom. So there's just in the midst, that in between, there's plenty of warnings being given, spread, and signs that were occurring back at this time, with the angels arriving and cleansing the mist and freeing the souls lost in between, of the grip darkness had on them. Darkness had a hold on them, and they were freed of that. But darkness still is free to try to manipulate and influence them, but they can't actually hold them. That was ended back then. Haunting, mesmerizing, it burns to the core. Devilish spirits of ancient lore. They're constantly at us. Gnashing, writhing, seeking the soul, wanting to claim those not whole, like predators, hyenas, wolves prowling over the flock, trying to pick up stragglers and those who are weak in faith. Corpses of walking, dripping flesh, description of them, body and spirit no longer mesh. Light comes on gathering clouds, destroying all that seeks to enshroud. Light, Jesus, all the legions of angels, the heavenly host, descending, coming to destroy all that seeks to enshroud, which is darkness. Darkness flees where light dwells, receding as fast as the brightness swells. And this is even the physical world again. When you go in a room, turn on the light, where's the darkness go? It's gone. Perfect example of how it works with light of heaven and the darkness. Where lightness is, darkness cannot be. Angels of mercy gather the lost, to those in the mists at that time. Vanity, they're lost at so high a cost. Be still, be silent, hear their wings beat. They're around. You can hear them and feel them. I've felt them, I've been aware of them. Trampling the fallen beneath their feet. These are darkness, those of darkness. King of all glory approaches their repose, those of darkness, ending the attempt by them to depose. Foolish ones who thought to dethrone, as their leader, as the one they serve, he who rules over not just flesh and bone, so they thought to dethrone God. All the heavens and all the earth are his, God's, to command, fill their hearts with mirth. Darkest of darkness bows down at his feet, even the devil will bow down at his feet, receiving upon them all that he shall meet, or made out, to dole out, to give out, put forth upon them. Receive upon them all that his wrath that he shall, and his power and his might that he shall put upon them. So mate, when we met out, or meet out, METE, punishment. Judge of judges, King of kings, from the Father his coming brings light and peace, joy beyond knowing, can't even conceive it. Love immeasurably overflowing. Open your heart, he calls to all. Hear my voice, answer my call. I am here to cleanse the world, claim all mine thus pearled. Claim all mine thus pearled, become like pearl, become heavenly, pure, white. So, another beautiful message there. Hope that was explained well enough. Those were pretty easy to follow. Now, I was going to have a conversation with Eduardo yesterday, one of the spirits group. A group of young people gathered around, and let the Lord guide me and what He wanted me to share with them, and some things to share with everybody on here as well. Opened up the pages. If you want to open up your Bible, you can pause this and read along. So Mark, Gospel of Mark, in chapter 6 through 7 and through good part of 8. Picking up, and I just highlighted some things on Mark 41. Where Jesus took the 5 loaves. First, this deals when he first fed the 5,000. Now, numbers have importance, and I'm not sure. I prayed and asked for discernment of the numbers that are mentioned here, so they have significance. And he points to them having significance later here in Mark, which we'll get to. But he says, first first he fed the 5,000 with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And the leftovers filled up 12 basketfuls. So some significance to those numbers. And we'll get to it again later on. On Mark 6:6, this is after the Pharisees had come to him and asked Jesus. Well, let's start at Mark 6:5. So the Pharisees and teachers of the law asked Jesus, "Why don't your disciples live according to the tradition of the elders, instead of eating their food with defiled hands?" In other words, they weren't doing the tradition of washing their hands, and they were just eating with their hands without preparing. Well, he replied, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites, as it is written, "These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules. You have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to human traditions." So, and he kind of repeats that, different words, a little bit further on here. Again, people honor me with their lips. They give him lip service. I've addressed this before, lip service. Like so many in church and don't go to church and they say they believe, they're just doing lip service. You know, it's like stepping into AA meeting or something and say, "I am an alcoholic." Or the addict coming up and say, "I am an addict." And that's it. Okay, good, you're an addict, you're an alcoholic. Now what? Anybody can say that. Anybody can fess up to that. I am a Christian. I believe. Okay, wonderful. That's the first step. Now what? That in itself is not going to get you into heaven. You got some learning to do, some work to do. But their hearts are far from me. I mean, they're insincere. And he mentioned this ties into what he said to that young girl from Africa who shared in her video. He said that all churches are false because they're insincere in their faith. And I would have said there's some churches out there that are true, but no, he's quoting that message to her. They all are bad. And you read Revelations, and it mentions that. He says, "Church of Smyrna, church of this place, church of that place," and that's symbolic for all churches around the world. But he was speaking at that time of churches around that area, his part of the world, that part of the world. But it spreads out as he spread out to all the world. So all the churches of the world have failed. And you can defend that all you want, but it doesn't change the fact of the matter. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules. In other words, they've twisted them to fit their dogma, their perspective of God. They twisted things around so that they enable themselves to live how they want to live without feeling guilty. So they didn't like something about God had to say, well, we'll twist it a little bit, tweak it a little bit. So, and you see this going on with the Vatican now, for how many years now? Twisting things around to fit, so they don't have to feel guilty. They feel like they can get away with whatever they want. It's like changing the Constitution around so we can get away with things that are unconstitutional. You have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to human traditions. He warned you. This is back 2,000 years ago. It's still going on. More so and more so every day. Bad news. We go on to read all the way up from 8 through 13. And he continued, "You have a fine way of setting aside the commands of God in order to observe your own traditions." What I just mentioned. For Moses said, "Honor your father and mother, and anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death." But you say that if anyone declares that what might have been used to help their father or mother is korban, in other words, that is devoted to God, then you no longer let them do anything for their father or mother. Thus you nullify the word of God by your traditions that you have handed down, and you do many things like that. Now that's a little tricky. I was trying to decipher exactly what he's talking about in relation to the father and the mother. I'll go over it again. Moses said, honor your father and mother, and that's a commandment. And anyone who curses the father or mother is to be put to death. That was Hebrew law. But you say that if anyone declares, but now he's saying on the other hand, if you say that anyone that declares that what might have been used to help their father and mother, they're trying to help their father and mother in a way that was devoted to God, then you're saying that you no longer let them do anything for their father and mother. So they're trying to stop them from doing something, from honoring their father and mother. What particularly he was pertaining to at that moment, I'm not sure. But he's using as an example of how they change things to suit, either satisfy the people, to appease the people, or to enable the people, or to empower themselves more. What specifically they were doing, I'm not sure of here. But in doing so, they thus nullify the word of God by their tradition, by their changing of things, which is what happened with the Bible. Things have been changed and twisted and moved around and stirred around and edited, re-edited, translated, retranslated to fit how the church wanted you to see things, to fit their needs, to keep their power. He's warning about it, and it still occurred. So you got to beware. He says you do many things like that. Then again, Jesus called the crowd to him and said, listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them. And this was referring to, talking about food they were eating. Like some religions don't eat this kind of food because it's profane, it's wrong. He's telling us, eat whatever you want. That's just with food. But here, you look again with everything in the Bible has a physical world meaning and a spiritual meaning, at least one. Look at it spiritually. Nothing outside a person, which is of God, can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them. It's what they do with it or allow to happen inside themselves that defiles them. Say if darkness comes into you, or you hang on to something negative, that's not defiling you, but you hang on to it, you allow it to defile you, twist you, thereby causing you to say and do and think things that defile you. So that's why it's important to get rid of, not to hang on to that stuff, not to hang on to guilt, sin, shame, anger, bitterness, all that grief, all that stuff. You got to get rid of it. Because you took it, wasn't defiling you and taking it in, but hanging on to it, it slowly corrupts you and twists you. Again, just like having those walls and those dams, so that His grace doesn't flow through us and flush it out. So we hold it inside, and like the water behind the dam, it gets polluted and corrupted. Thereby, when it does come through, when they do let it through the dam, it's disgusting, filthy water. So that's why you don't want to hang on to that stuff. And here's an example he said to his disciples who asked him about this parable, and he said, are you so dull? So there's an example where even he got frustrated with his disciples and apostles and chastised them and rebuked them. And then he does it again later on here. Are you so dull? It's like us saying, duh, what is wrong with you? On 20, he said, he went on, what comes out of a person is what defiles them. For it is from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come. Sexual morality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly. All these evils come from inside and defile a person. Because we hang on to them, and the darkness can corrupt them, become like cancer inside us, spiritual, emotional cancer, and then defiles us, corrupts us, and out comes bad thoughts, bad words, bad actions. So Jesus left that place and went to the vicinity of Tyre. He entered a house and did not want anyone to know it. In other words, he's always humble, always keeping things quiet. Came into the world quietly. He healed quietly. He doesn't want anybody to know about it. Very humble. Yet he could not keep his presence secret. In fact, as soon as she heard about him, a woman whose little daughter was possessed by an impure spirit came and fell at his feet. So as soon as somebody hears about him, or something he's said and done, when he didn't want them, he did this many times with the healing. He said, do not tell anybody what happened. In other words, again, humility, keep it quiet. Because he really wanted people to believe through faith, not through seeing miracles. But this woman came and announced herself. Why? Because her daughter was possessed by an evil spirit. So, evil spirit didn't want him to be hush-hush. They wanted to broadcast him. And this ties into, can link this up to doing charity, helping others, but not broadcasting it. Not say, hey, look what I did, or look what I'm going to do. Very quietly. So only God knows it. So she begged Jesus to drive the demon out of her daughter. And he said, first let the children eat all they want, he told her. For it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. He was testing her. Lord, she replied, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. Then he told her, for such a reply, you may go, the demon has left your daughter. Now I didn't fully understand it, and I'm sure there's deeper meanings than one I picked up from this. It's one of those tougher ones. Now look at it. For it is not right to take the children's bread. Well, who is the bread? He is the bread. For it is not right to take the children's bread, as children being children of God, from them and toss it to the dogs, which would be the demons, the darkness. It's not right to take that from them and then turn around and give it all to the dogs. But she replied, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. In other words, even the darkness is able to eat of the bread of life, of God, to partake of Him. So they're welcome to come to Him and repent and forgive as well. So He's not here just for the righteous, but for sinners as well, is what that's saying. In fact, that she recognized that for her faith and understanding, her daughter was healed. So that's what that meant. Again, it had even more meanings. Now we go on. This is in 7. We're in now. And Mark 7, I'll skip ahead to 36. Jesus commanded them to not tell anyone. This is after he's healed somebody of not hearing. And he said, don't tell anyone. But the more he did so, the more they kept talking about it. Again, broadcasting, not what he wanted. He's doing this stuff out of humility and meekness, not about him. Now we go further into 8. Give them the numbers. We're going to get ready to feed the 4,000. It says, how many loaves do you have? Jesus asked. And they said, 7. And they had a few small fish. Again, those numbers got to have meaning. And the meaning of that both incidents, I'm not sure the numerical meanings, the occurrence of it, a meaning of it, is that bread is that we don't have enough to feed them. It's got a few loaves, a few fish, and then there was endless supply of them. He is the bread of life. So those loaves of bread is Him. And the fish is peace, His peace. So it's telling us no matter how, there's an endless supply, endless replaceable supply, limitless supply of Him and His peace. That's what that feeding those people with that bread and the fish was about. It's here. There's plenty of me to go around, and then some, and then some, and then some. So that's what that meant. Told the crowd to sit down on the ground. When he had taken the 7 loaves and given thanks, he broke them and gave them to his disciples to distribute to the people, and they did so. Now here he's doing the Eucharist before the Last Supper. And they didn't realize it. They had a few small fish, so he's sharing his peace and sharing his body. They did not realize it yet. So they had a few small fish as well. He gave thanks for them also and told the disciples to distribute them. People ate and were satisfied. Afterward, again, the people ate and were satisfied. So you eat of the bread, eat of him, and you will be satisfied. Afterward, the disciples picked up 7 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. 7 basketfuls. About 4,000 were present. After he had sent them away, he got into the boat with his disciples and went to the region of Dalmanutha. Now the Pharisees came and began to question Jesus. To test him, they asked him for a sign from heaven. He sighed deeply and said, again, he's getting frustrated. He's like, oh my God. He says, why does this generation ask for a sign? And this pertains to today too. Why do they ask for a sign? Truly, I tell you, no sign will be given to it. There are no more signs. How many do we need? How many do we need? How many warnings? There's no more warnings to be given either. We're done. We've had plenty of them. Plenty of signs, plenty of warnings. We haven't figured it out by now. In fact, he said this, basically, this again, where he got fed up with his apostles, who lived with him, who saw everything, who witnessed everything firsthand. And the disciples have forgotten to bring bread except for 1 loaf they had with them in the boat. Be careful, Jesus warned them. Watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees and that of Herod. So he is the bread. They had 1 loaf, 1 bread, which is him. He said, be careful. Watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees and that of Herod. What is yeast? Yeast, you add sugar and water to it, and it's a little organism that multiplies and reproduces rapidly, which causes the bread to rise, to get bigger. So he's warning them about the yeast of the Pharisees and Herod, which is evil, rising, getting stronger. He's warning them. They discussed this with one another and said, it is because we have no bread. The bread's with them right there. Aware of the discussion, Jesus asked them, why are you talking about having no bread? I'm right here. Do you still not see or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes but fail to see and ears but fail to hear? Which he's told of, explained from most people. Eyes will not see, ears will not hear, because they're focused on things of this world, looking external. And don't you remember when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000? How many basketfuls of pieces did you pick up? He's chastising them. It's like, what is wrong with you? In modern speak, it's like, what the hell is wrong with you? What do I got to do to convince you? To get it through your thick skulls? Even Jesus got frustrated. Remember, he's in human form too, so he's not perfection yet. They replied, 12. When I broke the 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many basketfuls of pieces did you pick up? They answered, 7. He said, do you still not understand? Well, I understand about the reason for the feeding, and I understand about bread and the fish. But maybe I still do not understand the significance of the number. He pointed to the significance of it. 12 and 7 in particular. 12 and 7. Well, 12 I can understand, well, okay, the apostles. But they have other meanings as well. The 7, I'm not sure what the 7 means. So I'm just praying and asking for discernment of what that means. If anybody gets discernment of that, you want to share with me, share it on the blog, or however you want to get a hold of me, great. If I get understanding of it, and I certainly will share that. Then we go down to, this is 8, still 33. Actually 33 through 37, 38, the rest of the page. And this is this first part is about something that's said earlier on here. But when Jesus turned and looked at his disciples, he rebuked Peter. Well, this is after, let me go up ahead. It says, he then began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed and after 3 days rise again. He's telling them what's going to happen. He spoke plainly about this, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But when Jesus turned and looked at his disciples, he rebuked Peter. Said, get behind me, Satan, he said, because he recognized who was manipulating someone close to him to attack him, which I've warned about. He will use those close to you, those you love and trust, to try to lead you astray, to attack you. You've got to be on guard, so they won't even be aware of it. He said, you do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns. So he's talking to Satan through Peter, repeating what he said earlier on. Back here in 6:8, you have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to human traditions. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns. Again, that's to him, that's to all mankind, to the churches as well, the church leaders, from the Vatican on down to all the other kinds of churches and religions. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns, which fits right into why I stopped. I just started working at hospice, volunteering, and I just stopped because they said they're secular and they want me talking about God, even praying over people, often to pray with them over them, because they're secular. And they're having us volunteer to help with transition from this world to life to what? You can't be secular and then serve helping in transition because you don't believe in the transition. So they're worried about offending somebody who doesn't believe or believe a particular way. So they're believing about offending that or getting a lawsuit or losing business. Right there. Same thing with churches. They tell you what you want to hear because they don't want to piss you off. They don't want to chase you away. Then they don't have that money coming in. So they enable you. They tell you what you want to hear, get you to keep coming back. So they tweak their performance, their sermons, their everything to get you to want to keep coming back. But you do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns. And then the laws of man, not the laws of God. Laws of God come first. Again, you cannot serve two masters. Either you serve God or you serve not God. And if you serve not God, that means you're serving the devil. You cannot serve man. Serving man is not serving God. You can help your fellow man in service to God if he guides you to do so in specific ways. But you cannot serve man. It's a fine line, a subtle line to cross there. Help your fellow man to grow in God's light, to learn about God, but help them, lift them up, help them in the other way, help them. That's serving God, not serving man. No, cannot serve two masters. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, give unto God what is God's. And that's your full love and focus and attention. If he guides you to serve or to help fellow man in whatever way, that's what you do. You might be helping serve him in some other way. So you gotta be careful. He warns us. He's warning everybody through these words. And this is in the Bible. It's not me. People don't believe what comes through, what I share with you, that I've learned through these messages or direct communications. This is stuff that's in the Bible, just different words. I share stuff here and there with people from the Bible, and they just look at me crazy. Hey, if you only believe what's in the Bible, you say you only believe it's not in the Bible, then it's not right. Yet you won't believe what is in the Bible. What is that? Don't just read the Bible. Don't give it lip service. Study the Bible. Study the Bible. On number 34. Then he called the crowd to him along with his disciples and said, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. In other words, you must deny everything about yourself in your life. Put him first and follow him. Take up your cross and follow you. Follow him if you want to be his disciple. If you want to get into heaven, you have to let everything go. Deny everything go. Let everything, every person, place, thing. Which he said earlier, another part, it said, anyone who does not hate their mother, their father, their sister, their brother, their spouse, their children, even life itself is not fit to follow me. That doesn't mean hate them, but not anybody who cannot put them after him is not fit to follow him. He has to come first. And hate, in that translation, again, words can be translated from a language to another language, have different meaning. Like fear is used here in the Bible a lot, but it means respect God, honor God. And the original Aramaic may not have had a direct translation for the word hate. So maybe it was the closest word they used. Maybe the translators of the Bible put that specifically for a reason. Again, they have their ulterior motives. Or even look at the different, again, translations. Look at the different uses. How many words in English mean something entirely different between American English, Canadian English, English, Australian, New Zealand, South African. They got all the same word could mean something totally different. Perfect example. And that's the same language. So you must give up everything. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. And that's something that took me years to understand. Because what? Lose your life. It's not your life. Life is supposed to be a gift. Again, look at it spiritual. When you ask for his discernment of his wisdom and knowledge, you see things from a spiritual perspective. It's like stepping to the side and looking at something else. Like, oh, I see. I didn't see that from that angle before. You look at it at a true angle. You see around the facade, the false face, the false front, the deceptions, and you see behind it from the side. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. So for whoever wants to save their life, in other words, eternal life, or save their physical life, want to hang on to that, and the things of this world, will lose it. You're going to lose it. But whoever loses life, in other words, gives it up for him, denies themselves for him, all the things of this world for him, and for the gospel, will save it. Will we get eternal life? But what good is it for someone to gain the whole world? How many do? Everybody does. Seeks to gain it, yet forfeit their soul. What good's all that stuff you're doing? See all these wealthy people, and they want to get wealthier and wealthier and wealthier. It's like a sickness that everybody strives for. Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? You think, oh, okay, I get all that. Here, Lord, I got all this. This is who I am. This gets me in. That gets you nothing but the judgment line to the end of the line, at best. If anyone is, and again, speaks to your faith, being bold in faith, not boastful, unless you're boast about him specifically, but bold in your faith. Don't be embarrassed by it, don't be ashamed of it. If anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes in his Father's glory with the holy angels. If you're afraid, like lots of people I come across, they're afraid to share their beliefs, their perspective of God, and their faith, or they're embarrassed by it, or they don't want anybody to know about it. And you think Jesus is going to speak up for you when you're standing there in the judgment line, or when it's your time to leave this world? Think he's going to speak up for you? He's telling you that. If you're ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, in this world, then I will be ashamed of you when you come into his Father's glory with the holy angels. Like, they'll say, well, remember this time when you felt ashamed or embarrassed? And I felt that way early on in my younger days too. Like, I didn't want anybody to see me doing the sign of the cross or praying or speak about Jesus and God in public. No, that's not how he wants you to be. That's rejecting him. That's denying him. So you don't want to do that. Be bold in faith. Others don't accept it, as he says. That you come to a place or a person, and they don't accept you, or they deny you because of me, because of your faith. Turn your back, shake the dust from your sandals, walk away, and leave them to him. Doesn't matter who it is. If it's your family, close friends, spouses, lovers, sisters, brothers, anybody. And you just got to walk away. But do not deny your faith. Do not deny him. Do not be ashamed or embarrassed about it. Be bold in faith. Not boasting of it, not forcing it on anybody else, but sharing it. Being happy. And it takes a while to get to that point. You will suffer rebuking. You will suffer People attacking, denying you, making fun, ridicule. That gets back to what Paul said. Happily I suffer in the name of the Lord. And when I am weak, then I am strong. He comes to your aid. He helps you. You've been humbled. He'll lift you up. If somebody insults you, denies you, rejects you because of that, because of him, ka-ching, right into your treasure account in heaven. And, oh, you fool, believing all that stuff. Ka-ching. Ideally, the gentleman says, thank you for that blessing. Thank you for that blessing. You just made me richer. You just made me richer in heaven. Thank you. That's what they're doing. So I want to share all that with you. Hope that helps some people. And if you don't agree with it, ka-ching, thank you for that blessing. Have a blessed day. God bless. Peace of Christ.